Can you talk us through your journey to becoming signed to an agency, a talent agency? What made you stand out in your application? So why Handled signed you on?
Why did you guys sign me up? Welcome to Meet the Creators with Handled. I'm Whoisjowong, also known as Whoisjowong, and I am a lifestyle and career content creator. I absolutely love creating storytelling about my life, my journey, my story, as well as how to maneuver and work in the corporate space.
What was the inspiration behind that name?
When people ask me about where Whoisjowong came from, I love telling this story. So essentially, my name has evolved from many different things. My real name is Josanne. I went by Josie, Jojo, Josanne. And when I moved to London, I actually wanted to reinvent myself. Everybody does this when they move. And I wanted to turn into Whoisjowong because I felt like it felt androgynous. You didn't know who I was, right? And it was more of a question. I was actually working for Estee Lauder at the time, and I absolutely love how Jo Malone spells their name with J-O. So I kind of stole that from her, shout out to Jo Malone. So yeah, I just wanted to put it together because when you see the name Whoisjowong, you don't know if it's an older person, a man, a woman, somebody of Asian descent, whatnot, and it makes you curious. So I thought, what would be a better handle than Whoisjowong?
You work a full-time job and you're also a creator. How do you balance the two?
Being a full-time creator and a full-time career in workplace person, the difficulties you can run into is really managing your time. I will tell you, bulk content is your friend. Planning is your friend. Really understanding what you're trying to achieve, looking at content from a month out, is honestly the best and essential tool to be successful at balancing work as well as content creation.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge for you?
I think one of the biggest challenges I've faced really being a full-time in a workplace as well as content creation is sometimes missing opportunities. If it is that I have something really important going on for work, but that same week I want to create some content because there's something really trendy or there's a product I really want to highlight, you're always in a place of prioritization. And there's some moments where you miss some opportunities, but there's other moments you have some great successes. So I think prioritization of when you're really focusing on content creation and when you're really focusing on your career can be a challenge.
Do you have any tools that you use in your content creation that have helped you when bulk creating content?
I think some really useful tools I've been able to use is the save button. I save and I favorite everything I want to come back and look at. I create little task lists on my phone, reminders on my phone, content I would like to create, content I'm thinking about creating. So when I do come into really beautiful spaces similar to this, I have a list of different content I can remember and can create. Definitely like Google Sheets, Excel sheets, anything that lists content that I can put in my phone really quickly. Even the Notes app has been super useful for me as a tool to make sure I really bulk content well.
What made you stand out in your application? So why Handled signed you on?
Why did you guys sign me up? I think I even got off the call and I was like, babe, they want to sign. I was like, what? In regards to my journey working with an agency and working specifically with Handled, when I started really investing in my content creation, I got really into different spaces on social media, looking at how a lot of different agencies worked. And what really attracted me to Handled was not only that it was female-led and owned, they definitely invested in, I saw women of color, they had such a diversity of who they were also looking at in terms of talent and who they wanted to represent. And I wanted to support, but not only invest in a business like that. For me, working with many different businesses and all the time I've been in corporate, it's been important to work with companies that have that kind of diversity at its core front. When I wanted to begin working with them, I really did a deep dive on their page. I started really engaging with their content, and immediately I saw they had consultations. Now at this point, I had already invested in my logo, my name. I really wanted to look polished and professional, so when I did approach brands, they did take me seriously, but I knew I needed more, and I needed professional representation to also vet and be kind of a pillar for me and make sure they're protecting my brand equity. From the very first consultation call, it was absolutely fantastic. I felt invested in, I felt important, and I felt like if I were to work with an agency, this is the type of agency I want to work with. I was so happy to hear that they were also pleased with my own self-investment and as well my story and my potential, and being able to say that they believed in my potential. It was such a great relationship for us to work together. So I think anytime you're looking at an agency, you're somebody you want to work with, it's very important that you're invested in the agency as much as they're invested in you.
So you have a lot of creators who reach out to you and ask what it's like to work with a talent agency. Can you share a little bit about what it's actually like to work with a talent agency? What is an agency responsible for versus what you are responsible for as a creator?
So if you are in a place of looking for management or looking to possibly sign with an agency, what I would say the experience looks and feels like is mainly it's accountability. There's accountability to the agency that you provide the deliverables you've committed to. There's accountability that this agency will also represent you. So many times when I was negotiating or starting different kind of brand deals or, collaborations, I didn't know how to price myself. I didn't know what was acceptable and what was not. And what I really appreciate about this relationship is there's many things that I might have accepted as, okay, they only want to pay me this much. Okay, they only want to gift me this. And that's where my agencies actually stepped in between and said, actually, you're worth more. Actually, you don't need to deliver that much. And I felt like I actually feel more appreciative of my self-worth and my brand equity. And that's something that you get with an agency. When you're on your own, you have to vet these things by yourself. And you don't have other, comparables to understand what you're worth and what you should be asked to deliver. But what's also important is I have accountability that I am working for an agency, and I also need to make my commitment on how I deliver what I am supposed to for them.
What are some things that you have learned about, I guess, the business side of collaborating with brands?
One thing since working specifically with Handle as an agency and really stepping into content creation full time and what I would say almost to a level of professional, is that there's really room to play. And what I always thought was it's always a yes or no. So it's either I can get paid for the collaboration or I cannot. But what I understand is there's many levels of flexibility in terms of, okay, maybe I can get gifted and only do a little bit of content creation for them. Something I thought would have happened previously is that many brands would always be reaching out to you when actually you should be very proactive and show your worth and show your potential to a brand that might not have known you even existed. So that was a really kind of switch I learned kind of working with an agency, that it's about being proactive. It's not creating the content and sitting down and saying, brands, where are you? It's creating the content, showing the engagement, showing the potential of the content, and then saying, hey brands, look what I can do. Don't you want to work with me? And that was something I didn't really think like this time last year before signing with specifically Handled as an agency.
What would you say is your favorite type of collaboration?
For me, I think the favorite type of collaborations I've been able to do specifically in the last 12 months has been anything from an experiential. I love traveling, I love going to spas, I love self-care, and I've always done those things and posted them, but doing them from a lens that I want to promote an experience and a brand has been fantastic. I would say specifically the Hyatt collaboration I did with the spa, that was fantastic. I have been staying at that hotel historically for almost 8 to 10 years. And to go back and do a collaboration and actually show all the things I love about the hotel, and not only that, but what I love about the spa was fantastic. So anytime I get to highlight something that brings me joy that I can then recommend to others, I think that's one of the best type of collaborations for me.
You've done a few speaking engagements as well. Mm-hmm. What are your tips to other creators who want to be booked for speaking engagements? What would you say is really key to securing opportunities like that?
The key to securing very successful speaking engagements is number one, networking. People won't know you exist until you show them you exist. So a lot of the speaking engagements, if it's podcasts or live, have been all from my networking, me introducing myself, talking about my background, sharing a little bit of my story. And from having those conversations is then developed to opportunities to speak. The other part of it, so number one, you got to network and just let people know who you are. If that's through LinkedIn, if that's in person, if that's in a work meeting, just saying, hey, this is my name, this is what I do, and this is what I do also outside of work. In addition to that, when you do a speaking engagement, you also need to highlight it. You also need to show pictures, show clips of it, because people also need to see your facilitation style and see if it would work in maybe their setting of a speaking engagement. So number one, I would say, is networking. Number two, highlighting when you do get speaking engagements. Even if they're big, even if they're small, please always highlight them and make sure you record some great clips.
You've entered into the journey of motherhood, you've got a budding career, and of course, like, other commitments, personal commitments that you have. How do you balance it all with content creation?
I think the key to balancing content creation, work-life balance, and just regular life is not to put it in silos. I don't know if that makes any sense, but my content comes from my daily life. I don't have my daily life and then content creation. It never works that way. I tried it. It does not work. Ultimately, when I wake up, I'm like, I'm going to do this today. Maybe I should shoot some content, right? So I figure out ways to merge them together. If it is even from a brand collaboration, if it is, I need to use a new hair product, I'm like, perfect. I have a gala to go to. I need to use a hair product. Let me incorporate that brand. So it doesn't start or end. It all kind of comes all together. So as long as you don't put it in buckets or silos and you put it all together, if it is I'm going to the office this week, I'm like, I'm going to shoot content while I'm in the office because I'm going there anyway. So the key is the way you create balance is not separating it. It's making it all come together.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Meet the Creators with Handled. Remember, you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, all under either Whoisjowong or just Jowong simply. You can find me there. I will be talking about my new baby journey, which is Baby River, coming very soon. My continuation of lifestyle content. Yes, my continuation of career content, because the baby's here does not mean my career stops, as well as lifestyle. So check that out, and I hope to see you soon.